Hey guys, it's Vince and Drew with Power 5 Fanatics, and we're doing our inaugural Pick'em show today. It's going to be a pretty brief one here. As you can see, we're in our winter clothes here about midway, not even quite midway September, but that's how the weather is in Texas. Everybody thinks it's always hot in Texas, Drew, but it's not always
Right.
hot. We've had a little, feels like football weather is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, we're excited about this first really big week where we actually have some Power 5 bigger programs playing. No, just, great, exciting games, but there are some two or three that are pretty interesting. Anyways, there's not a whole lot of games, period, Drew, because I know there's been a few of them that have they've basically delayed, or they're going to delay them to another date for whatever reason. What was one of them? TCU, SMU,
Yeah, there was a couple
and a Baylor.
couple Big 12 games that got pushed back.
Can't remember who Baylor was playing, but it got pushed back too.
And also Oklahoma State got pushed back.
That's
as well,
right.
So
Some three Big 12 schools. So that would have been a little bit better with those included, but still, we got some pretty good games. There's about, I don't know, close to 15 games this weekend. So compared to what we've had lately, this is great. We're going to start off with our pick'ems with
UAB.
UAB,
Miami.
exactly. University of Alabama, Birmingham at Miami. Miami this year should be better on offense, Drew. They have their new quarterback, or I say new, he's from the University of Houston,
De'Aaron King.
So they're expecting where they're actually going to start being able to move the ball some, because they've really been inept, for lack of a better word, on offense for really the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, their defense at times has been pretty good. They just can't score points. But I think it's going to change this year. I think they're going to be much more competitive in the ACC. And Drew agrees also, of course. And we have Miami giving the 14 points, and we like Miami covering that spread. I'm thinking, Drew, something like, I don't think there's just going to be a ton of points scored, but I think they're going to hold UAB down pretty good too, maybe 28-10 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're figuring Miami's going to have a much better offense this year. And everything we've been hearing is that De'Aaron King is really just blowing up in the preseason. So we'll see how that translates.
He was a quality player,
in
in Houston.
Yeah.
Like, he was really what kept the train going.
Yeah, and Miami's always had at least for the past several years, has always had a really good defense too. So if they're able to hold UAB down scoring wise, I think they can probably put up some points this year. I think their run game is going to be better. They're going to come and go as their offensive line allows them to. But I think that UAB is going to give them a challenge, but I do think they'll cover the 14.
Next, we got the exciting one up in Lawrence, Kansas, Coastal Carolina at Kansas.
The nightcap game, I think it's at 9 o'clock.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So the Pac-12's not playing, so you got to have something to watch.
Well, that's true.
Saturday night.
So the Jayhawk faithful are going to have to stay up late. But
yeah,
this is a replay of last year. I think it might have been a week 2 game last year. It was about the same, obviously.
Week 1, week 2, yeah.
Yeah, and Coastal Carolina again was on the road, and they beat Kansas last year 12-7. So it was a one for the ages for sure. But Coastal Carolina is getting 7 points in this game, Drew, and I think they will cover that. So we are taking Coastal Carolina. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to win the game again, but I think it's going to be another slugfest. Probably not a whole lot of points scored. Kansas, I think Kansas may take a step backwards this year, and that's saying something because they weren't very good last year, but I just don't know if they're going to be very competitive. And I think they're going to struggle no matter who they're playing. So
yeah, Kansas really needs to win this game.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they got the full Big 12 slate right after. I agree with Vince. We're both taking Coastal Carolina to cover the 7. This was like we said, Coastal Carolina actually pulled the upset off.
I think it's going to be close to last year, maybe like 14-10, not a whole lot of points scored. Moving on to an ACC game, Duke at Notre Dame being the new ACC school this year. So this is the big big opening game in South Bend. Notre Dame is giving 20 points, and we like Notre Dame to cover the 20 points. Notre Dame, I really think, is going to be a competitor nationally this year, Drew, more so than definitely last year, but mainly just because they got a lot of their team back. They got Ian Book back, their quarterback, and he's kind of a dark horse. I'm saying Heisman Trophy candidate, Ian Book.
Yeah.
He'd have to have a terrific year, and they would probably have to go 10-0 for that to happen, or at least get in the ACC championship game. But I think he would be a dark horse candidate, Heisman. He is a quality quarterback. They have a lot of their starters back, the majority of them, I think, on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, this, you're talking about Notre Dame. This is probably the team, if you're talking all teams who benefited the most from getting a conference-only or mostly conference-only schedule. I think Notre Dame might have been the biggest kind of benefitor of that kind of model, because I honestly think their schedule got a little bit easier. I think Notre Dame is one of your playoff contenders this year. They kind of have always been, and with Brian Kelly the past 3 or 4 years, they've won 10 games a season pretty much.
Right. They've just haven't had the oomph to get over the edge when they get in a fight with a team like Clemson or Georgia or somebody like that. But they've been real close, and this year could be it. And if things hold true and where the Big Ten ends up not playing, and I think the Pac-12, I really doubt they're going to be playing at this point, but let's just say both of those conferences end up not playing, Drew. It just benefits them more, obviously. It's going to give all the teams like Notre Dame and teams like Oklahoma and Texas, opportunities to actually get in the championship game.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we got Arkansas State at Kansas State. Kansas State last year was much improved. They had their big home win against Oklahoma in October last year. I think they're going to continue the improvement. They got their quarterback returning.
Yeah.
Skylar Thompson. K-State is giving a pretty good chunk at home, 10.5 points. We do like Kansas State to cover the 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like with Notre Dame and some of these other teams. I think having a quarterback that you are going to get to keep and have experience and has played in some, and especially in a season like this, is really going to help some of these teams, especially early on. And Skylar Thompson, he's one of those quarterbacks who has a ton of experience. He's been playing, and I really just
he's one of those scrappy guys, not just necessarily the NFL top arm, but he just knows how to win.
I just love what they're doing up there. I think that they're probably going to continue just to get better and better. I could see K-State being a dark horse in the Big 12. I think that they'll take care of business against Arkansas State.
I think they're going to win big, something like 38-10, something like that.
Yeah, I could see it.
And lastly, we got Western Kentucky at Louisville. Louisville also giving up a double-digit point spread, 11.5. We like Louisville to cover there.
Yeah.
Last year, Louisville, they had their struggles like a lot of teams in the ACC, but they may. Speaking of dark horses, they may be a team this year that could make a move.
Right.
At times they look like they're ready to, and this could be one of those years, Drew.
Yeah, I mean we're giving a lot of credence to these coaches who we feel like are really good coaches, and I think Scott Satterfield is one of those guys. And it's just kind of these early season games, you never know what you're really going to get. Because it
can be really hard, and
who knows what they actually look like, and then also they got to get gelled, and with no spring, who knows? But I trust these teams that I think have really good coaches, experienced quarterbacks, and I think Louisville's got a really good coach in Scott Satterfield. And again, I think they're one of the dark horses in the ACC. I mean, you got your favorites in Clemson and Notre Dame, but then you got North Carolina and Louisville kind of in that next bracket. And I think they're also going to take care of business against Western Kentucky. So I think they're going to cover the 11.5 as well.
Well, guys, that's it. We hope to have a great year this year. We ended up last year on the winning side. Disclaimer, gamble at your own risk.
Especially this year, my gosh.
I know this year it's going to be a strange year.
You're going to hear about players not playing. Like
we hope that
second before the game.
We have some good picks for you, anyways, and I know everybody enjoys these shows, so we're going to keep doing them weekly. Anyways, we'll be talking to you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you.